and welcome to part 3 of our Art Day Spectacular here with the Colts Corner podcast, simulcasting on Apple Podcasts and on our YouTube channel. I'm Douglas Lattuca with Benjamin Dickson, Brian Flattau, Michael Garaffa will sneak in here as well. It's been a pretty full day of sports. We've already had 2 shows. We're ready for part 3, and we've got a nice little segment coming up here. We're going to start off with the top 5 most irrelevant teams in professional sports. Now this is going to be debated back and forth. We've compiled the list of irrelevant teams, not necessarily in order or based on where we're specifically putting them, but we'll rank them 1 through 5 at the end of this short segment. So let's jump right into it. I mean,
my number 1 team here, I think you guys can agree with me. The San Diego Padres, pretty relevant. You had Tony Gwynn back in the day, but, Manny Machado could go there, but, they could do anything possible, and they'll still be pretty much irrelevant in San Diego. Chargers left there. There's nothing really going on. People thinking of San Diego, they're just thinking of Cali, not really thinking of the baseball Padres.
Yeah, they've got a bright future, but right now they're just pretty irrelevant. Nobody even really knows any. I bet you could name 5 people who are on the Padres right now. I don't even think I could.
I know Eric Hosmer.
You're right, Eric Hosmer, Francisco Mejia, but other than that, you can't really name anybody because they're just that irrelevant. That's how you can basically judge that a team's irrelevant, is if you can't name anybody on the team, and that's pretty much what you got to do here for the Padres.
Is Yangervis Solarte still on the roster?
I don't believe so.
I believe
he was moved.
He was moved. Moved. So the San Diego Padres probably are at the top of the list here for most irrelevant teams.
And just saying, a little disclaimer here, it's not necessarily like a jab at the franchise's potential. It's just
it's just what
relevant.
They have been.
It's what they have been and what they mean to
They won't be irrelevant in a few years, though. They've definitely got a bright future.
I agree.
Yeah, but really the only thing that San Diego has going for them is it's a beautiful city. The weather there is superb.
Took a vacation there a couple years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that.
There's one other thing. Bartolo Colon did hit his first home run there, so that adds,
yeah, whatever.
That adds some.
Get over it.
That
Good
adds
for
some
that
beauty.
guy. Actually, that was a pretty electric home run.
It was.
Not gonna
Don't
lie.
tell me to get over it.
The call right there by
Gary Cohen.
Yeah,
outstanding,
dude. Doesn't get better than that.
If I could put that on right now,
you see
I
the
would.
passion. You'll have to see that from an announcer. Good stuff from there. But from the San Diego Padres' perspective, they're a failure of an organization. Manny Machado makes them better, maybe attracts some free agents, but they're really one of the most irrelevant teams.
Maybe it's
in
different if you're
professional
living in
sports.
San Diego, but here in New York.
Of course, yeah. You're in San Diego. You
They're not
see
even
the
showing
team.
Padres highlights on
Yeah, a
Sports
lot of the
Center.
West Coast teams are probably going to be deemed irrelevant here. Not necessarily the LA teams, but for example, in basketball, the Sacramento Kings, and they're not so relevant. They have a bright future like the Padres, but they're not so relevant. But one of the teams I wanted to get into, definitely, you're not going to find many NFL teams on this list because of how prominent the NFL is here in America, but it's just the Detroit Lions. When was the last time you were walking around and you saw a Detroit Lion fan? I feel like if you went into Michigan, there wouldn't even be that many Lions fans. They make the playoffs occasionally. When they do, they're not going to do any damage to the playoffs. They signed Matt Stafford to a huge deal. He's the definition of a mediocre quarterback at the NFL stage. He's not going to get it done to win a Super Bowl. He's also going to be a nice franchise quarterback for you to rely on for a few years, but he turns the ball over a lot, and that franchise is just I'm not sure what they're doing over there in the Motor City.
Well, they got to figure out their offensive line. I think Stafford could be better with a better offensive line. If any of you guys here at the Art Show have any suggestions for the most irrelevant sports team at the professional level, come over here and tell us your opinions. We want to hear what you guys have to think. Gather around here and give your input. But another team that we're talking about here, the Cincinnati Reds. Besides Pete Rose and the big news about him surrounding that organization, they've got a pretty star player in Joey Votto. But other than that, they're extremely irrelevant. They're on the come up here, but their past has just been nothing too special.
You look at the teams in the state of Ohio who are just more relevant than them. Ohio State Buckeyes football, Ohio State Buckeyes basketball. You got the Cavs, even when they're horrible like this year. You got the Blue Jackets. You got the Bengals.
Well,
am I leaving anyone out?
Well, you are leaving out.
The Indians are good.
Oh, the Indians, of course. How can I forget the Indians? Yeah, but
I can't forget
the Browns.
The Browns too.
Well, the Browns.
They're at the bottom of the pecking order in
The
Ohio.
Browns have to be in the most irrelevant franchises in football just due to their past.
I mean,
they've been
they're
abysmal.
so bad they are relevant, though.
Exactly.
But, and
Okay.
now they're on the come up, though.
They're on the come up. So
Like the
now
Cubs.
that irrelevance or that the terrible play, their terrible past has almost jump-started what's happening in the future for them. They're on the come up.
Right, they
Baker
were so
Mayfield beast.
bad that they actually became relevant. Everyone was talking about how
There's a movie
bad
about
the
'em.
Browns are. And there's a movie about them, exactly. Draft Day. Go watch it. Great film.
Draft day, Johnny Manziel.
Exactly, yeah. And, but I would say Cleveland's a very relevant sports city because of the struggles that they've had. You know, LeBron bringing that championship to Cleveland was so relevant because of how bad of a city Cleveland is in terms of sports and really in terms of everything. I mean, it's not the best place to live, you know, Cleveland. No disrespect, but it's just, you know, it's no LA.
Yeah, but when you go through the teams in Ohio, that was my point, and you're thinking of sports teams in Ohio, the Reds are going to be like, what, the 8th team you think of? Like, it's not.
Yeah, they're very low on the pecking order, but now they've added a few guys.
It could be good.
They're from the Dodgers. They could be relevant. They're working on their pitching staff. Maybe looking at JT Realmuto as their starting
I did
catcher.
see that. That was the one time I saw him in the news in the past,
Right.
4 years.
You got my guy Sonny Gray over there, too?
Yeah, they're making
Cincinnati's
moves.
legit. They
But-
could be legit this year.
One thing you got to think about, I mean, Joey Votto, top 5 player right now. I mean, if you think about overall.
Top 5 player in the league or
In
top
baseball.
5 first baseman?
Not right
No,
now.
in baseball.
Not right
I mean,
now.
the guy is
Back
one
in
of the
the
best
day.
on-base percentages in the last 10 years. He walks over 150 times a year. I think it's even over 200. And he's always got over 300 batting average with 30 home runs. He's the most underrated baseball player, in my opinion, in baseball.
Well, it's because they're so irrelevant.
Exactly,
I mean,
that's the point.
He's had a great career, 311 career average. He won that MVP in 2010. But to say he's a top 5 player in baseball now,
Not right
He's
now.
35
but
years
if you
old.
look 2016, 17, he's outstanding. But because the Reds are so irrelevant, that's why he's so underrated.
I get that. I
Well,
see where you're coming from.
another underrated guy, Mike Trout, with the Los
Oh,
Angeles
he's the man.
Angels.
He's the best
of
baseball player
Anaheim.
in history.
But you have to think about that.
we'll
Are
see, bud.
they relevant? They are an LA team. They're somewhat irrelevant, but of course Shohei Ohtani now over there making a little bit of noise. But Mike Trout's probably the best player in baseball.
One of the
He's
best
definitely
players
the best
ever.
players in
Yeah,
baseball.
maybe one of the best players
And-
ever. But he's very underappreciated. You don't really hear a lot about him. He flies under the radar. For an LA team, he should be getting a little bit more media coverage,
Yeah,
you'd
and
think.
kind of what we were saying about the NHL before the MLB. Not that there's a lack of interest, but Brian and I had discussion various times. Baseball's a regional interest sport. It's not a sport where you're going to get the national draw to teams in like the Midwest or in the Northeast or the Southeast, or whatever it is. You're just not going to get the national interest until the postseason comes. And for the majority, it's a regional sport, and kind of like the NHL, not really a huge regular season sport you're going to get on national TV and see all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 162-game schedule, so you have to be devoted to one team. It's tough to sit down and watch baseball every day during the summer. It's a tough thing. You have
I
to
disagree.
almost be religiously following an MLB team and get interested. You got to buy in. Buy in for the MLB. That's why it's tough, especially for the younger generation who wants to go, change what they're watching all the time, have a fast-moving sport where baseball is definitely relaxed, drags out the summer, and it at least gives me something to watch and pay attention to. Of course, huge Yankee fan, love to see
Of
it.
course. You'll have to see that.
Go Yanks. So let's continue on the list. We had the Charlotte Hornets here.
They're borderline, though. You got Kemba there, the big meme.
They got
Michael
Kemba, and they
Jordan owns
also
the
have
team.
Michael Jordan as the owner. So that makes them a little bit more relevant,
It more
I
speaks
think,
to
right?
the lack of success they've had, though, I think.
They also have one of the best point guards in the NBA at this point. We don't know how much longer it'll be in Charlotte, but right now they do have one of the best players in the NBA. In Kemba Walker, he's becoming right before our eyes. He's maturing before our eyes. He's becoming an excellent player here in the NBA. But yeah, the team just doesn't have it. You know, they used to be the Charlotte Bobcats. It doesn't get much more relevant than that. You know. Their team name was the Bobcats. Now they're the Hornets. Like that's another thing with these teams. You're finding that a lot of these teams on here, the Padres, the Reds, the Hornets, it's not the most exciting team names, and I think that actually has something to do with it. You know, it's not just the fact that they're small market teams. It's the fact that their names just don't exactly carry much weight. Like the Reds. What's a red?
Right.
I know it's a color, but like what? You can't name a team after that. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
just a
don't-
little
I-
theory.
what-
It seems that all these teams have a common theme of not necessarily being bad, but just doing a bad job of promoting themselves, and that's probably one of the reasons why.
Well, fun fact, Cardiac Kemba came to my camp right out of UConn.
So did Cantor, the big
and
man.
his Cantor is at my camp as well. Love the guy. Real beast.
Got off camp. Come on.
Yeah, camp is exceptional. We should just start our own camp podcast.
Colts Corner Camp.
Talking about the passion and the electricity of camp.
I wouldn't like that one.
Brian would not participate, neither would Garaffa.
Doug and I would own the
I'm
place.
out.
We would. It's a great thing.
But another thing
moving on. Whoa. Quick alert. Yanks have not made an offer to Manny Machado. They're looking to add a 6th starting pitcher to back up CC.
Interesting.
But you can never say never on Manny Machado.
Yay, baseball.
But we'll do the whip around soon.
Eventually.
Let's
Okay.
just continue on our list. Another team, you might know them, you probably don't, as the Phoenix Coyotes. They're actually the Arizona Coyotes now, changing their name
Is that
to the
hockey?
full state.
This is hockey.
But
What is it?
I bet you.
Okay, cool.
I bet you that 2% of the people in this room have heard of the Arizona Coyotes.
I have not
2 to
heard
5.
of them.
Nah, 2 to 5 is way too high. I would say 1 to 2 because I barely know of the Arizona Coyotes, and I think if you exclude us, I think there might the total
we've
might
already
equal
got 3
about
out of 4
1.
here.
Maybe, there might be one person in this room that knows who the Arizona Coyotes
I
are.
do, and I know multiple players
I
on that
cannot
roster.
tell you one
For the-
player
Doug,
on
you
the
love
Coyotes.
hockey.
And the reason why is because it's hockey. It's not a popular sport here. There's not a lot of people that follow hockey, and it might be the most relevant team in hockey. I don't know if they're good. They might be. They might not. I don't know.
They're not very good.
They're not very good. So they're not a very good team. They're
And
all
they're
the way
in-
on the West
yeah.
Coast in hockey, and it's just it's not a team that a lot of people know. They're definitely one of the most irrelevant franchises for sure.
Yeah, so guys, you guys, spectators here, raise your hand if you watch the NHL, or actually let's get simpler. Raise your hand if you know who the Arizona Coyotes are. Raise your hand. We've got a couple hands in the
We've
back.
got, like,
It's not
3
bad.
people.
Raise your hand if you watch the NHL. You watch the NHL.
It's the same hands.
Same
same
exact
Same hands, exactly.
I mean,
You're not going to know a team like that unless you follow the league.
We've got a
It just is what it is.
0.05%.
it's true. So if you're not watching the NHL, you probably don't even know who the Arizona Coyotes are. They're in the bottom third of the league. They're absolutely atrocious. So that's what we're talking about. Hockey's just doesn't really
Doesn't do the job for a lot of people.
Exactly. It's a tough sport to draw people into. And as you could see by the poll, we had about 4 or 5 hands up for watching the NHL. Maybe
counted 2.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, I counted 2.
You counted 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
it
2 or
wasn't,
about
wasn't a
five.
great showing.
Maybe 2 or 3 for the Arizona Coyotes. So it's
So
not
we'll
a great
settle at 2.5.
percentage. It's not a great percentage. You hate to see that.
It's a little below, like, 1.
Let's stay with the NHL, the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, let's talk irrelevant.
Great logo, though.
Yeah, they did change their logo. They had in 1994 they were relevant.
You know, I didn't know they changed their logo.
They went to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to the New York Rangers in Game 7. So they have some relevance in their past. But right now, they have the Sedin brothers, most likely on
They're
their
still
way out
around?
of the NHL. Yeah, they've got a couple, maybe one more year.
I remember
This
them
is-
from,
this
like,
is probably it for
2007.
them. But other than that, they had no success, and they're pretty irrelevant in the NHL.
Also, Doug, we were talking about this weekend, the parity in the NHL, how the Kings had that crazy season in 2012. The Canucks were the number 1 seed that year in the West, if I'm not mistaken. So they were relevant then, I guess. But I think the NHL, with the relevance issue we talked about before, it's more of a parity problem that the 1 through 8 teams that make the playoffs, all of them have a chance, which is great for the sport. But I think it hurts its relevance if you're not a huge hockey guy. You know?
Yeah, also, we're on the East Coast here, so it's tough for us to judge the relevance of a Western Conference team or a
Especially
team
British
from
Columbia.
exactly
From Western Canada.
From Canada. The time difference, the games probably usually start at 10 o'clock. So to us, it's irrelevant, but if you go up to Canada,
If you go to Canada, every NHL team's relevant.
yeah,
I mean,
Well,
honestly.
they live and die for hockey there.
And I think people should really give hockey a chance. If you sit down and watch a game, got to fall in love with a team. And it's a great sport. I don't understand. It's just got to be just an interest, like you said. It's just people just aren't attracted to it, like the NFL and the NBA, which is just how it's going. The numbers will just continue to stabilize at the same rate, maybe even go down. Just not a lot of interest.
I mean, I'm a baseball fan, and I think a lot of people can say that baseball's a boring sport, and I think hockey's boring. So that's that says a lot. I mean, I've watched like a game or two, and I just like I can't get into it. I mean, I'm a guy who could sit through 3 hours of baseball and be engaged every pitch, but I just like I can't sit through hockey and especially like soccer. I can't stand soccer. But that's why we don't even talk about it.
We didn't even put them on the list because we don't know any teams in the league.
Yeah, I probably know like 3 teams in the MLS. If we're
in the MLS, you have the Red Bull, you have the
Don't forget the
NYCFC.
Galaxy. Come on,
and
man.
you have
the
the
Galaxy.
Orlando.
you got DC United in there.
DC.
I mean, I've been having Kevin like yell at me saying you need to get soccer on the podcast.
Actually, there's like a 50-50 shot if you say if you have it like a major city in America and then
Dynamo,
say
Houston
United
Dynamo.
after it. There's like a 50-50 chance.
You're probably right. Let's just do 2 more teams, both in Florida, 1 hockey, 1 MLB. Florida Panthers. Talk about irrelevant. I mean, they're in Florida.
They were relevant when they knocked the Islanders out of the playoffs a few years ago.
No, we knocked them
Oh,
out.
they
Sorry.
knocked it out.
That's what I meant to
First
say.
win
I was
in a
there.
while.
Game 6.
That's what I
Johnny
meant to
T,
say.
baby.
With the John Tavares
winning
goal,
it
yeah.
He's
in
not-
overtime.
He's not my guy anymore.
But a warm weather state, not great for hockey, but Tampa Bay, look at what they've been able to do. It must just be a talent thing for them. Don't really have a huge fan base down there. And a huge irrelevant team in the MLB in the last 15 years.
Miami
Because you want to
Marlins.
give them credit, they did win the World Series in the early 2000s.
They were great in the late 90s.
Yeah, they were very good. But the Miami Marlins are extremely irrelevant. it's almost embarrassing.
Awful.
And you know what? You don't really want to laugh about this, but once Jose Fernandez,
Passed.
was killed, they fell off the side of the earth. I mean, they traded away huge players
there
in
was
Yelich,
one other time
Ozuna,
with the Yelich,
Stanton.
Ozuna, and Stanton trades. That was the only other time they'll be relevant, and it's a dark time for the Miami Marlins right now. They're not going to be relevant for a while.
I mean, they were somewhat even irrelevant before those guys were traded. I mean, they had
were
some
on the
star
come up.
guys, and they weren't performing. So, I mean, they were already irrelevant. Now that Jeter's ruining the franchise.
He's not ruining.
He's ruining
Give him
the
time
franchise.
to develop.
Yeah.
Ruining the
Come on, you gotta
franchise.
trust Cheats.
They're so irrelevant because, I mean, you have nobody on that team. I'm an NL East fan. I can barely name 5 players on the Marlins.
JT Real Muto.
Well, he's barely even on the Marlins
He's
anymore.
gone. See you. You got
I'm pretty
Martin
sure-
Prado. That guy retired
Jose
5 years ago.
Urania.
We had Prado on our roster, third
Yeah,
baseman,
of
solid
course.
player.
Gibberish.
Jose Urania.
No idea what you're saying. Random guys.
I believe Barraclaw was traded, so I don't think he's on
this
the
is
Marlins
embarrassing
anymore.
now. I can't do this.
It's exactly. So the
Justin
Marlins,
Bour's not even on the roster anymore.
He's on the
they trade away
Phillies.
everybody good. So the Marlins are irrelevant. They might as well just give up on Real Muto and start the full rebuild. Just blow it up, and let's start over with Jeter at the helm. So those are our top most irrelevant teams in professional sports. Let's move into the top teams that do not exist in professional sports now. Let's start off. Let's see where I want to start. Which one?
Start with the Nets.
You want to start with the Nets?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still irrelevant. They're still
they're
relevant
now, but the New Jersey Nets tucked into the Izod Center in the Meadowlands next to MetLife Stadium, or formerly Giant Stadium before then. I mean, they had their finals runs early 2000s, Vince Carter. But you got all of that franchise back in the day. New Jersey Nets, Izod Center, pretty relevant. But
Dr. J.
You know what? Solid franchise, but the Brooklyn Nets. Here we go. Basketball
on
in
the
New
rise,
York
on
is
the rise.
relevant now. You'll love to see that. And I'll be rooting for the Brooklyn Nets now with the Knicks in the bottom 2 of the league. They're just one of the worst teams I've ever watched on my
You're a
screen.
Ranger fan.
They're brutal. And I'm a Knicks fan. It's just been year after year, can't get it done. But the Brooklyn Nets had that tough trade, obviously giving away all those picks, have finally regained their bearings. Here they go. They're making a little bit of a run. Don't know if they'll make noise in the playoffs, but they'll probably get there. So you'll love to see that for the Brooklyn Nets. Another team, Charlotte Bobcats, now known as the Charlotte Hornets. I mean,
got all of the Bobcats, OG, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Kemba Walker before the Hornets.
decent franchise.
Cool logo.
MJ thought they needed a little shake-up, change the name. Really hasn't affected anything.
No, like we said, we just mentioned them in the team, in the most irrelevant team lists. Yeah, the Bobcats, they weren't much before. They actually had one of the worst seasons in NBA history, if I recall. Only a few years, I think it was a few years before, maybe the year before the New
Nets
Jersey
had 9
Nets.
wins one season.
Yeah, I think it was the year before
Oh, that
that.
is atrocious.
The Bobcats had something like 15 wins right before the Nets absolutely did horrible that season. But yeah, so they're not a very relevant franchise. But gotta say, I used to love just watching like Bobcat. I want to get a Bobcat jersey. Is what I'm trying to say.
I was just about to say that.
I think that's.
They've
I think
got a
that's
cool
the
jersey and
thing
logo,
that-
but they're
You
not
know what?
that good.
Another solid franchise, the New Orleans Pelicans, correct?
Well,
That
they're the
is
Pelicans
correct.
now. They used to be the Hornets.
New Orleans.
It used
the New
to be
Orleans
the
Hornets. I'm sorry.
and
yes.
then they went to the Pelicans. Yeah.
CP3 was there. Had a nice little career. Then was shipped off to LA, but started his career there. Obviously, no longer a team. So there you go, another team. Just change your name
Another one bites the
and
dust.
stay relevant. You love to see that from another team. But a team like the Hartford Whalers in the NHL.
Unreal logo.
It is pretty unreal. And the colors. You've got
Cool name.
like an interesting green with
remember-
with
yeah,
a blue,
when,
blue mix.
That is the
When
premier
I-
hockey jersey that I'm looking for right now. If I were to get one jersey, I don't know who was on. Who's the best player that was on the Hartford Whalers? You might know.
I
this.
can't tell
I
you.
couldn't tell you.
All right, whatever it is. That's the jersey I want. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna say, what's the best player that was on the Hartford Whalers? That's the hockey jersey you got to get. Those jerseys were elite.
Yeah, I mean, before the Islanders decided they're going to Belmont, there were rumors of a potential rebrand, moving to Hartford, Connecticut, potentially bringing back the Whalers. I wouldn't have liked that, but
Don't forget the
something to
Hartford
keep in mind there.
Wolfpack, over there in
The
over
Hartford
Hartford.
Wolfpack, yeah.
AHL.
AHL team for the New York Yankees.
The New York Rangers,
bro.
bro.
For the Rangers, you know, the
That's
New
the
York
way-
just slides off. It's any team from New York, you know.
I feel you.
You love to say it, but New York Rangers, AHL team there in Hartford. Another team, which team, Charlie? Interesting. Okay, that is true. There is a team down there.
NWHL, women's
You learn something new every
Professional
day.
Women's Hockey League.
Correct. So another team moved to the Winnipeg Jets, the Atlanta Thrashers. It almost doesn't get better than that.
Is that a
That's-
football team?
those
That's
names are
actually-
outstanding.
This is another hockey team.
Come
That's
on.
actually the other jersey that I would look for in hockey because my brother actually has a Thrashers jersey. It was Kovalchuk.
Yeah,
Thrashers.
he was
seen
great.
that before.
It's an
He was great
absolute-
on the Col-
It's an
on the-
absolutely
on the
elite
Thrashers.
jersey. Yeah, to say the bare minimum. It's truly outstanding.
Talk about an irrelevant franchise, though. I think in their last season, they probably got like 200 people a game. Come on.
It's Atlanta. It's tough to draw another warm state. Tough to draw a crowd in the NHL, but their jerseys, interesting color pattern there. Pretty solid jersey if you were to buy one. Montreal Expos,
Solid franchise.
former MLB franchise. Another team
Vladimir
with great,
Guerrero over
another
there?
team with great
Vladdy,
jerseys.
Gary Carter. Had some solid years.
They had a pretty solid franchise.
Bartolo
Pudge.
Colon.
Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah, so I mean,
The big man, Pudge.
they
They
had nice
still get to
jerseys,
continue the
nice
record of-
fan base
He was
in
a Yank for
Montreal.
a year, Pudge.
He was. He
Hall
was
of Famer.
indeed. Pretty solid team as well. Seattle Supersonics.
I mean, that's the best one you're going to get right there. We got to bring back the Super Sonics.
Katie
Come on.
Russell Westbrook. Let's get it going.
2025.
2025 reunion. Let's have him back on the
They're
same
getting
team.
an NHL team.
Yeah, they are.
They come up with a nickname for them yet? Or?
I don't think they have, and the ideas are pretty awful, honestly, if you had to think about it. It's tough to come up with a brand new name unless you're like a minor league baseball team. You could just call
you could
yourself
just, you
the
could just pick a
Frankfurters.
random animal or a random food, and that's your team name right there.
I mean, you can really pick whatever you want. So, I mean, those are some of the teams that don't exist in professional sports. But let's talk about now the top most hated professional athletes in sports right now.
I know who number one
And
is.
You know who number one is?
Thomas.
Go ahead.
Tom Brady. No debate. Like, he's top of the list, top tier, the most hated athlete in professional sports by everyone other than Patriot fans. Tom Brady is, he's just, it's whether it's because he wins, whether it's his attitude, whatever it is, no one likes Tom Brady.
So wait, let's see what everyone else thinks.
Mig says no.
Would you guys put Tom Brady at the top of your list for the most hated athlete in professional sports?
100%.
Mikey Love is saying
we're
yes, I
We're
like
getting
that.
thumbs up.
If you don't agree with that, if you don't agree with that, let's make a line over here and give you a suggestion.
Let's get Migs on. Come on.
Mig says
Mr. Miggs, I respect his greatness, absolutely. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, but I hate the guy.
Everyone loves success, but no one loves successful people. It's just jealousy of why you hate them. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's like the Golden State Warriors.
It's me as
He's
a Jet
right.
fan.
I mean, I'm a Jets
It's me
fan.
as
I
a
hate
Jet
the
fan
guy.
too. There's that other
Mic
aspect.
drop.
100%.
I
The best
agree.
quarterback ever.
Dude,
Yeah, I'm not
You
disputing
definitely
that,
say that.
Doesn't mean he
you
can't
have to
be
agree with
hated.
that. He's probably one of the best.
He's the best
No,
quarterback
he's the
ever.
best quarterback, one of the best players in the NFL.
Doug, I
that
wouldn't
ever
wouldn't
lived.
make Migs mad.
So I mean,
We gotta
but,
go. I know.
people still hate him.
I
it's
know,
about
I know
success.
number 2 here. Gotta go Kevin Durant at number 2.
Number 2, Kevin Durant.
Snake,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if he comes to New York, I love the guy. Come to the Knicks. You're welcome with open arms. Win us the title, and
We'll take you in Brooklyn.
yeah. Oh well, yeah. He's going to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, door's not closed for that.
I mean, yeah, but unless he comes to New York, he's definitely number 2 on my list. Kevin Durant. That move he made going to the Warriors was one of the weakest decisions in professional sports history. There's no other way to put it. It was a horrible decision for him. I loved him before that. He was in a great movie, Thunderstruck. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was just an absolute great movie. It made me love the guy, and then the second he went to the Warriors, he broke my heart, broke everyone's heart, and he ruined the league. So yeah, he's definitely the second most hated athlete in professional sports, I think, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I got to definitely mention Roger Clemens here. Guy who, I mean, most baseball players hate, did PEDs, and I mean, the thing that sticks in my head is him throwing the bat at Mike Piazza. You know, he's not a good guy. I mean, I know he's a Yankee, but he's just not a good guy.
Well, I don't know if that's true. You just have one memory about him throwing a bat at Mike Piazza.
Doug, look it up. People don't like Roger Clemens. It's just.
Well, probably because he's a PED user. People are against that. Some people are against PED users. It's cheating. It is.
Right.
But so they're not going to take liking to Roger Clemens. But Alex Rodriguez has become a likable guy after his career.
Yeah, I
So
like him
there's
because
way
he's a
to-
Mets fan.
I mean,
There's
he's taking credit for everything
Yeah, so
bad that he's done.
There's a way to turn your career around. But the first 2 guys that we spoke about on their list, probably you could associate them with winning. Tom Brady, of course, best quarterback
But not
in
so much
NFL
Durant.
history. But Kevin Durant went to a winning franchise in Golden State, and as you said, ruined the league, and has went on to win NBA titles. This third guy that I'm going to bring up, or the fourth guy, we spoke about Roger Clemens, Draymond Green, guy in Golden State. It's not that Golden State is good. It's just the guy is just not likable.
Just kicking people in the groin left and right. He's complaining with the refs. Come on.
What a
I
crybaby.
don't like that guy.
Unbelievable.
No, he's a dirty player. He does a lot of kick moves in inappropriate places, and that's not great from Draymond Green. He gets in people's faces. He yells. He gets teed up all the time. No, he's one of the most hated players in sports.
I
no doubt,
got
Draymond
another
Green.
one for you here now. We're going football. Vontez Perfect.
Scum of the earth.
I don't know who that is.
That- you know
No,
what?
no, but
I
this guy
can be
needs to be-
biased,
No,
but
but
if
he
you
really-
watch the NFL, you've seen the replays. This guy's a dirty player. You know what? He's not even in the
Doug,
league
You know what,
anymore.
guys? Hey, you
'cause
want to
he's-
come on? Buddy,
Come
wanna
here.
come on?
If
Come
you
on.
have something to say, let's go.
He comes
Guys
anyway.
coming on.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying he's not a dirty player. I'm saying you're more biased than them 3. since
I don't
you're
know who
saying
he
Ben
is.
brought it
Oh,
up.
absolutely, but I do agree. I do agree that he's
No, but
he's
you're
one
gonna
of the most
hate him
hated
more
players.
than the rest of them.
Well, of
That's
course.
A fact.
Okay, fair enough.
Skags, I don't even know who he is, so I'm just
Thank you, sir.
neutral
Have a
here.
good day.
I don't know who
Roth
he
is
is.
a little lost here. He doesn't know who Vontez
I'm a little
Perfect is.
football
Look
deprived.
him up, Mike. Look
Middle
him up.
I
linebacker
will.
for the
I'll do that.
Bengals. He's been in and out of the lineup with concussion problems. And you know what?
Good.
Guy couldn't adjust to the league. He's a dirty player, suspended left and right, and he deserves what he got. That's how it goes.
Maybe look at hockey here. Tom Wilson, maybe. A lot of guys don't like him.
Yeah, I'd agree. Tom Wilson has been suspended a few times.
One last guy, Julian Edelman.
Well, I think that's just from a
That's
Jets
just because
fan's
we're Jets fans,
perspective.
bro.
Yeah, but you could see his arrogance on the field just the way that he presents himself, which is very similar to Philip Lindsay, the way that
Come on.
I'm not
Philip
attracted to
Lindsay's
that.
such a-
no, I'm
he's
just
such a
saying.
likable
I'm just
guy.
saying the arrogance on the field is similar.
No,
But
the
I'm not
reasons
saying he's not a great player.
I hate Julian Edelman are similar to the reasons that people hate Philip Lindsay. I personally like Philip Lindsay, but it doesn't make much sense because I do hate Julian Edelman the way that I do because of his arrogance and the fact that he acts significantly bigger than he actually is on that field, and it annoys me a lot.
Great receiver, though.
Yeah, you can't take that away from guys leading him to a Super Bowl, to this Super Bowl appearance, and maybe to a win. We'll see what happens this Sunday. So that will wrap up part 3 of our 4-part day here at Art Day. So for Ben Dickson, Brian Flattau, Mike Garaffa, I'm Doug Lattuca. We'll be back for part 4 very soon. Hope you guys enjoyed.